This is going to be the Rudy Gay clip. Bear with me. At some point, we might tangent into discussion of why isn't Rudy Gay the greatest player in the history of basketball? Why didn't he become the greatest player in the history of basketball?
Wow.
It is one of the greatest debates in sports history. We've talked about. I've told this to everybody. He is built to be the greatest ever scoring wing in the history of basketball. Like just his sheer. Like if you NBA draft combine, or if it was like the NFL draft combine, they'd be like, this guy went from 5th round pick to 2nd overall in just 2 seconds because of his splits and the 40-yard dash in the cone drill. But he signed with the Spurs, which I think is a great thing, and we could get more into that. But way more importantly, I gotta show you 2 videos of Rudy Gay and fans what happens when Rudy Gay gets the ball. So element number 9 and then element number 10.
Oh, it's Rudy Gay! No, not this guy! Oh my God!
And then element number 10, Rudy Gay number 2.
Defense! No, it's Rudy Gay! No! Not this guy! Not this guy! Oh my God!
It's funny because
Both those games couldn't have been against the Hawks.
No, one of them was when he was on the Grizzlies. The other was when he was on the Kings.
So they both weren't against the Hawks, though, right?
No, one was against the Hawks and the other was against the Raptors.
Yeah.
Okay, because then I'm thinking this guy, it's obviously the same screaming fan or follower. He follows where Rudy Gay goes, or does he live in Atlanta, or does he live in?
I hope he follows Rudy Gay. I'm believing
Sacramento?
the story. I'm believing the story.
Wrong place for him.
Memphis? Where is he
Well,
located?
who's he a fan of?
Yeah.
Is he a
He's
Kings
moved
fan?
with him.
No, is he
either
a
with his
Raptors
teams Rudy Gay is with, but he's like not this guy again. Or he's a fan, the other one's Toronto.
Yeah.
Or he happened to be in Toronto and Atlanta for those games.
Rudy Gay in town, gotta go.
It's the greatest thing in the world.
There's 4 different cities. Where in the world is, I don't know his title.
Rudy Gay's biggest fan.
Yeah.
Where you go, I just like the idea that he's sitting there, he's screaming defense, and he realizes, no, not again.
Not his fan, that's the thing, he hates Rudy Gay. It's like the way I rooted against Kobe. I hated Kobe, but I knew he was gonna kill you.
You're talking about you're talking about like one of the greatest scorers in the history of the game versus like Rudy Gay, who's good.
Fringe all-star.
Fringe goat.
Fringe goat.
But he was right in both of those instances.
But then it led to a graphic from 2016 that we found that he's 17 of 38 with 5 seconds left in the 4th or overtime. He's the highest percentage active player.
Really?
ISO Joe Johnson, not including the playoffs this last year where he was like 15 of 15 when it mattered. He was like a 30% guy. And look, I think 30% in the absolute most important time in the game. That's a solid percentage for crunch.
So, I mean, as far as what did he get? 2 years, 17 million, right?
Which is a good deal.
Yeah. And
for a 30-year-old?
Yeah, and so you're thinking, I was like, well, he must be old, you know?
Yeah.
Like last 2 years of his, I was like, Rudy is 38 years old? He's at the end of his career?
Yeah,
is he Dirk Nowitzki in this? No, he's 30 years old and he's got 2 years, 17 million. Yeah. Somehow the Spurs pull these type of things off. And upon looking at it, you may say, oh yeah, Rudy Gay, what's he been doing? Because he's been with Memphis and Sacramento, and no one's paying attention to him, right? He's gonna pop up and be this. The only pseudo mistake the Spurs have made in personnel has been Aldridge a little bit.
Yeah, and that's true. I think a little bit of Gasol, but they get usage out of it.
They had him. I mean, well, they had him all the years when he gave them everything he had.
Yeah.
And that was a win. It's like you don't doubt the Spurs, and I'm a crossover again to the New England sports thing. You don't really doubt what the Patriots do either, even though I dislike everything they do, but
I second that.
But you can't doubt the Spurs, and people have their things they say about them. Oh, they're boring. They do this stupid system, and can't believe how much they keep. And then you look up, and they've won 60 games.
Well, you realize they haven't in Popovich's coaching era, and sure, Tim Duncan was there, and David Robinson, all that stuff. He's won 50 games every single time, and that includes the lockout shortened season in 66 games, where you could take games away from Popovich and be like, we'll still win 50. They could have a 51 game season, they'd be 50-1. That's just how it works. It's a good signing. We put together a little list of NBA free agency winners and losers, mostly because we'll get to what the Knicks did, which is whatever. It doesn't, at this point, you just run out of anger. Eventually, it's like the 5 stages of accepting death.
Just not surprised now, yeah.
At some point, like this, we're way past bargaining because we can't even do that right. But here's the list that Zach helped put together with this one. So look, and there's some notes with it, right? It's not anybody else's list; it's my ridiculous list, and Celtics.
That's why they came to watch 2IT Sports, to see what your thoughts are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would hope, if not, maybe they're waiting to hear JR hates Jay-Z.
I love
moments.
the limbo category too.
I mean, I have a lot of, I have a lot of secondary thoughts about this. I saw burning of Gordon Hayward jersey, and I thought it must be a joke.
But did you hear what the guy said?
absurd.
He goes,
gotta be
how-
LeBron's
he goes,
little B word.
Yeah,
right? It's like the
it's got to be a joke. Like, there's no way you have an issue with the man.
Yeah, man. I mean, let's say, how could Gordon Hayward do that? But did you hear what Gordon Hayward said this weekend?
No.
Not this weekend. Yesterday, Gordon Hayward was asked, who's the best quarterback in the NFL, and he said it's Aaron Rodgers, no doubt. I can't stand anything Tom Brady does. It's like you just went
Moving to Boston saying that.
maybe
Yeah.
don't-
Already have a target on it.
Let's go, move it back, scale it back, scale it back. Also, by the way, Avery Bradley traded to the Pistons for Morris.
Marcus.
We don't know.
Which Morris?
The
We don't-
lesser.
does it matter?
The lesser twin.
They have the exact same. They have the exact same.
really?
tattoo.
They could switch.
They could.
teams and
no
nobody
one would know. It's like the
why they
Bennett
did
brothers if Martellus grew a beard, or Ja'Cory wanted to jump in.
He grew like 10 inches taller.
Ja'Cory? No, they're like the same height. Come on, they're both. But back to that list, because there's a couple of. I mean, I put the Celtics as a winner because they had to sign Gordon Hayward and they did that. They might technically be limbo, but they're also one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. That get this one. I think only LeBron James is top 15 in PER in the Eastern Conference, while the 14 other best player efficiency rating players are in the Western Conference.
And everybody's headed west.
Everyone's going west.
So this is except for Gordon Hayward, as we just pointed out, switching the other way. Is he gonna have it? Is this a good move for him? Like when you read about,
For him, yes.
at least from the few sources I read about a lot of the deals and things that people are getting, and winners and losers and limbo people, is based a lot in who got money, who lost money, who has to pay someone, or who has to just release someone and undo not their contract, but just release them from teams still owe them. And then so a lot of times my thought is, are they gonna win? That's what we forget people are here for.
Yep.
So they're supposed to do, right?
It's
Is that
winning.
the
That's
object?
Sure, it's winning when you get paid, right?
Yeah.
But you wanna win still. I mean, look, Kevin Durant took a pay cut.
Well, it's all, that was going to say that's why the Warriors are giant winners. And Kevin Durant shouldn't have to take a pay cut.
Right.
But
They added to their loaded bench.
Yeah.
the Warriors,
exactly.
yeah,
They
while
get
retaining
Nick
people.
Young, and who else they pick up?
Caspi.
Caspi. Like the Warriors just got better.
Yeah.
Better shooters.
Better.
Because they're anticipating everyone else chasing after them, so it's a
Yeah, that's why. I mean, you look at it, and you mentioned the Patriots and the Spurs. Like, those guys cut ties with players usually right before
know
they're owed
when,
big
yeah.
money. So what was the guy, Boban? What was his name with the giant hands? They used to have
Marjanovic or something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Reddit
yeah.
thread with
Oh, yeah.
Boban's hands.
Yeah.
And he had like a good season with the Spurs, and Popovich sat him down, according to the reports, and said, you're gonna go to Toronto or wherever he signed, because we're just not gonna offer you the money, and this is a life-changing amount of money for you.
Yeah.
So take the money. And it wasn't like we don't want you to play here.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is gonna, like, maybe there was some family things going on, whatever
We're
it might
not
be.
gonna
But
pay you this.
I think it was Popovich saying, in our system, you have your use, but in most other systems,
And Popovich knows we can find somebody that can
Absolutely.
easily replace that role. That's what makes
Absolutely.
the Patriots and the Spurs so good, is they know exactly what player they need for that role. And they just bring them in, say, work on this, and then
They have
and then you
specialists.
get a nice check like that guy just got.
That's very true. Very true. Who am I missing? Paul George and Russell Westbrook is just going to be fun. But you said
Yeah.
with the Gordon Hayward thing, though.
Like,
he's
will it
now-
work as far as winning?
He's
Good
now
for
in.
him,
He's now
definitely.
in. I think about it from his perspective. In the Western Conference, and the Utah Jazz, who unfortunately are losers because they got ravished by free agency,
Yeah.
and they did everything right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drafted well. They traded well. They had guys on good contracts. And look, they beat the Clippers that were pretty healthy enough that the Clippers should have won.
Yeah.
And then you get your ass handed to you by the Warriors. What do you expect? But like, so Joe Johnson played well. All the good things that were happening, and then they get ravished, man. They lose George Hill. They lose Gordon Hayward, and now, but from Gordon Hayward's perspective, you're an all-star in the Eastern Conference. You're like the 6th best player in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
Like you're in the top 10. You're gonna have
Big
deeper.
market.
Big market, deeper playoff runs, you're gonna win more in general. So it does answer that question. So I don't know if it's necessarily a giant win for the Celtics. It's a giant win for Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, he came out on top. And happy for him again. Like I've always been on the side of players getting what they deserve and
their money, yeah.
and being in a good position to win.
And he deserves to be an all-star. Because
Yeah.
he had a great year last year, but in the loaded
Yeah.
West, you're just never going to be.
It's the same
An
as
all-star.
D'Angelo Russell we talk about. D'Angelo Russell can probably be an all-star in the Eastern Conference. If he scores, I mean, if he scores just 25 points per game, although he's already thrown guys under the bus, so there's that. Lastly, this happened, and we're just not going to talk about it because it's depressing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just.
Yeah.
Knicks
But
in
you
a
know
nutshell.
what?
Knicks in a nutshell. right there.
The hard part about that is that they had him. Like, it's not like he's a bad player. So I don't want that to be the.
He had a great year. Yeah, he had a
Right,
pretty good year.
yeah. So for that to be the characterization of Tim Hardaway Jr. is that he's a bad player. It's just you had that chance with him already, and you had more control over what you would do with his contract and was working with and developing. Again, back to how it went, because you send him off somewhere else and he comes back as a who knows who he is, and who he worked with, and maybe better. I don't know, but not. It's just it's messing up the natural flow of having a player that
We traded him for Jerry and Grant, and now Jerry and Grant don't play on the Knicks either.
Traded Grant for Derrick Rose. Then
Right.
Renounced Derrick Rose for $25 million.
Do you know what that
signed
forms?
Tim Hardaway Jr. for $71
Do you know what that forms? Very, very, ironically, forms a very complicated triangle. Phil Jackson just, whatever.
But I do want to point out one more thing. We talked about the Celtics a little bit, and since you brought up Tim Hardaway Jr., $71 million over 4 years. Kelly Olynyk, 4 years and $50 million to go to the Heat.
Yeah, but Kelly Olynyk could drop like 14 in the fourth quarter in one playoff game and
then never do it again.
and rip out Kevin Love's shoulder.
He's a slow big man.
He's big.
But again,
Slow.
we go off of winning with money. Kelly, you won.
Yeah, man, I would take the
The
look.
Heat will not.
I gotta be honest. If I'm in, who knows if I'm? I don't think I'd be ring chasing. I'd be taking the money. If a place like Miami, Miami's a fun city. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if it was Orlando, I'd be like, I don't know. Just like Utah, I don't know, like Chicago. Hell yeah, sign me up.
Would have been a better
Toronto.
Would have been a better option for Hayward to sign with the Heat instead of Boston, or Boston with Brad Stevens
It
as
would've-
perfect fit.
Stay there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Brad
go to Boston.
Stevens
Right,
and his
yeah.
coach and stuff. It would have been interesting with Miami
Pat
because
Riley and Hayward.
Spoelstra knows what he's doing, man. And like with Dragic and Whiteside, they would have challenged. They wouldn't have been as good, but they would have challenged. Look,
Anyway.
NBA's been a complete shite show, so we love it though. So
I can't wait to see all this.
Can't wait for Gordon Hayward
I
to
can't wait
guard
for this
LeBron.
season. Gordon Hayward on LeBron. That's gonna
That'll be
fun.
great.
LeBron's little B word.